Welcome to the Psychic Pastry Chef, where two unlikely worlds merge. Here in these videos, I'm going to show you great cakes, desserts, and pastries you can make at home to impress your family and friends. And I'm going to give you psychic predictions for your zodiac sign for the years of 2018 and 2019 while doing so. Today, we're going to make a delicious Oreo cheesecake, which happened to be one of the most popular cheesecakes that I made during my 22 years working as a pastry chef. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. So the first thing you need to do to start this recipe is to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And you want to get the pan greased for the cheesecake. Now, I'm using a non-stick pan. This is a 10-inch springform pan. But you know, maybe I don't need to grease it, but out of habit and just for insurance purposes, because you don't want that crust to stick, I am going to butter the pan. Some of you Aries are going to be beginning a new job in 2019 or a new form at your job. So you may, get a promotion. They may ask you to switch positions. Also, there's going to be very likely a new relationship budding and blooming for Aries. Now, if you're already dating someone and seeing someone, it could just be that that relationship is going to get better and, go further. But if you're not coupled with anyone right now, it could start budding and blooming. So now I'm going to grind up the crumbs. And you're going to need, let me start by telling you the ingredients, because I know in last season, sometimes the ingredients got lost. So I'm going to tell you right here, you need 25 Oreos, which is about, once it's ground up, is going to be about 2.5 cups of ground Oreos, and 4 tablespoons, which is half a stick of unsalted butter melted. For the filling, you're going to need 4 packages, 8 ounces each of cream cheese, 1¼ cups of granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, 4 large eggs, 3 large egg yolks, 1/3 cup of heavy whipping cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 3/4 chopped or broken up Oreos, which is about 15. And you can make this cake in either a 9 by 3 inch or a 10.5 by 2 inch springform pan. So, when I made this at the restaurants and pastry shops and bakeries and businesses I owned and worked at, I believe I always made them in 10-inch pans. Looking at the ingredients, 2 pounds of cream cheese is a lot of cream cheese, plus the other liquid ingredients to stick into a 9-inch pan. So I'm going to use a 10-inch springform pan, and you're going to need a Cuisinart or some method, if there's some other machine you have, I don't know what it could be, to grind up the crumbs. Also, Aries, I see you doing some kind of leasing agreement or arrangement. This could be for a car, it could be for a new apartment or a house or something else you could lease. So you just want to get them nicely ground up. Now, what you could do if you don't want to use Oreos here, you could actually get chocolate wafer cookies that have no cream in them and grind them up, or chocolate graham cracker crumbs, but if you use Oreos, it's the best. Taurus, I see many of you giving out instruction. You could be teaching a class, you could be teaching something online on YouTube, you could be doing lectures or seminars, you might open up your own school for metaphysical things or accounting or baking and cooking, whatever you could do. But I see some of you could even be in the place that you already work. You know, they may say, hey, Taurus, we think you're really good at your job and we want you to start training people. That's likely too. Now, I have to do this in a few batches because this Cuisinart is very small. It's, I don't even know if they make this model anymore. And Taurus, don't be surprised if you don't find yourself in 2019 having a new relationship as well, but it could be with somebody that you were already in a relationship with in the past. So a past love could be coming back and you could be having another relationship. And it's like a new relationship with someone from before. See, this one didn't get ground up enough. Yeah, definitely an old flame for some of you Tauruses is returning. And I also see some of you Tauruses getting something out in the world that they're calling like a pilot program. So it could be something to do with school, education, or some kind of program that you're trying to pilot and put out there either to the public or to where you work and to see if it will get picked up or, you know, how it's going to take off and run for you. Some of you Geminis, I see you getting a little bit fueled by anger by somebody in the workplace. And it could be because there might be people that are jealous of you or that are just doing things that you don't like or approve of. And I do feel if that's the case, any anger you are having, Gemini, I feel you will be letting them know. I don't feel you're just going to be like, oh, I'm mad, but I'm not going to say anything about it. So now what you want to do is take the melted butter. Remember, the ingredient measurements are at the beginning of the reading, so of the video, so you have to go back and listen to the measurements. Now I'm adding the melted butter. And this is unsalted butter, don't forget that. You can always add more if this melted butter does not feel like it turned out to be enough, like if you don't feel like the crust is wet enough or sticking together enough when you're trying to push it in the sides of the pan. But remember, Oreos have cream inside of them, so they're already kind of wet, you know? They're going to be wetter than if you used graham cracker crumbs or chocolate crumbs of some other type. So now I'm going to press this in the bottom and about 2/3 up the sides of the pan. I feel Geminis are also going to make a monumental decision to change the direction that they're in some form. It could be change the direction of your work. It could be to change the direction of your career. It could be change a direction in anything. But I really feel like it's more career and work related than so much as personal. I also feel Geminis are going to they're going to be called in place to help out with someone in your family. There could be somebody in your family that has some health issues, or you could have an elderly relative or parent that's not doing so well, and you may be called in to help them in some way. Now, that measurement that I gave you for the Oreos is definitely not enough for a 10-inch pan. It might have been enough for a 9. But I think I'm going to have to grind up some more. So I'll tell you how many more it is once I get done. But you have to press it up the sides of the pan too. Some of you Cancers are going to have a bigger and better facility to work from. Either the company you're working at is going to be improving and making the facility where you work bigger and better, or you could be moving and your living situation could be to a bigger and better living situation also. I feel there's also someone in your life, and so this may not be true for all of you because remember, this is a general reading just like my Lucky Mermaid videos on YouTube. So it's general here too at the Psychic Pastry Chef. I feel that some of you Cancers are going to stop spoiling somebody, or you've been giving somebody money and you may decide to stop doing that. Like, you know, maybe you've been spoiling a child or giving somebody you're in a relationship with. Maybe you've been like really doting on them and spoiling them with money. I feel like you're going to quit doing that. Something about 2019 makes you like stop or come to your senses or figure, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know, but that comes up. You have a new friend that's coming in for you, Cancer, a new friend. And I feel this friend is actually going to be helpful to you. Could be helpful to you in your personal life, could be helpful to you in your career. Okay, so now I'm going to have to grind up some more Oreos so you can see here that that amount covered about all of the bottom and half of the sides of the pan. So I'm going to grind up some more. And Geminis, you're also going to have a surprise visit in 2019 from a relative that comes from a distance, either from across the country you live in, or they definitely don't live near you. They're going to be coming to visit you. Now, I ground up 11 more Oreos and added 2 tablespoons more of melted unsalted butter, which brings the total up to 36 ground up Oreos and 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter melted. But again, I'm using the 10-inch springform pan. That may have been okay if you were using a 9-inch. You may find, Virgo, that you have some opposition with someone that kind of puts up a bit of a fight or tries to block or stand in your way of something that you're doing. This could be like maybe if you were trying to get a permit for something, or you wanted to sell something, or it could be in a job situation even. And I feel that there's going to be some Virgos that are going to release something out into the world that's going to be pretty important. Like it could be a book, something you've written, a screenplay. It could be a video. Could be a piece of music. You could have composed something. But I get releasing something out into the world, and I do feel it's important. Also, for some of you Virgos that are single, I feel if you've been dating somebody or involved with somebody for a while, you may start to see someone new in 2019. Or even at the end of 2018, it could be possible that that's when that would start. Okay, so I think I have this pretty well. I do have a little bit of the crumbs left over, so I am going to add them all because it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have the sides reinforced, because you're going to unmold this cheesecake and then you're going to decorate it. So you definitely want to have a solid wall foundation. Now, as I said, when I had my own shop and I worked for other people and their businesses, especially in a very large catering company I worked for, big facility. This always had to be on the buffet. People would go crazy over it. So if you like Oreos, or you know someone that does, this would be a great birthday cake for somebody that's a big Oreo lover. So now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to refrigerate it while I make the filling. Okay, now we're going to make the cheesecake part of the cheesecake recipe. So here you want to start with your cream cheese, and it's best to have it at room temperature. All your ingredients are best at room temperature, because that way they're going to blend together much better. If you start with cold ingredients, it's going to be like a battle. So you're going to need a mixer and a paddle. KitchenAid mixer and a paddle work great. If you don't have that, you can use a hand mixer. But believe me, as I said, especially if you're using a hand mixer, you want to have these ingredients at room temperature. Some of you Libras may actually have a party that people come from far and wide to come to. And this party and gathering may, for some of you, actually take place in your home. But you could be having it catered or having it at a big hall. So now I'm going to add the granulated sugar. So now you're going to add the flower. And Libra, I do feel like you want to be center stage about something and to get noticed. So this could be about like for an audition or something to do with your job, but I feel like you want to get noticed and you want center stage about something in 2019. Also, Libra, I see you getting involved in some kind of creative project in some way, and this could be, you know, for some of you, I see you creating like, I don't know what to call it, a trellis or a hoopah or something where you're weaving flowers and vines. Now, it could be in your own yard, but it could also be for a wedding celebration or some party. But I see you doing something hugely creative. It doesn't have to be the image I get in my head, but so you want to scrape this cheesecake down because there's a lump on the bottom of this bowl and the ingredients collect around it. So you want to scrape it down after you add the ingredients. So now I'm going to add the eggs and the yolks, and the vanilla is also mixed in. You can always add the vanilla in with your eggs. Be careful you don't get stopped by police, Libra, like with a lead foot. Careful of speeding, because I see some of you getting pulled over by a cop. And, you know, I skipped over Leo. I just realized that. I have to tell Leos, I see some of you moving to a warmer climate. And some of you, if you're not moving to a warmer climate, you may want to buy a vacation home at a warmer climate, or just go on a vacation to a warmer climate. But I see some of you, if you don't move to one, you're going to be thinking about one, or you're vacationing at one, or you're buying a property to have as a secondary property at one. Some of you Leos are going to have a matrimonial proposal. There could be an engagement. And if it's not happening to you, Leo, it could be happening to someone very close to you, a sibling or one of your kids. And now I'm going to add the heavy cream. And for some of you Leos that are working for someone else, I see you considering a job change, but I feel like this would happen in the second quarter of 2019. Could really be at any point, but I don't feel it's in the first quarter. It feels to me like it's in the second quarter or later. And I feel like you're going to be very financially successful this year, Leo, in 2019, maybe more so than even in 2018. So I keep scraping this down because I like to see it as smooth as possible. Okay, so now we're going to put this cheesecake, finish it off by putting it in the oven. So you're going to pour half of this mixture in the bottom, and then you're going to take the Oreos that were broken up and put them in the center. Now, for some of you, you may find that these Oreos may float to the top, but that won't be the case for all of you. And you can use more Oreos than what I told you at the beginning if you wish. You may find that this amount is completely enough. That'll be your call. Now, I use double stuffed Oreos here, but you don't have to. You can use, you know, the regular Oreos. You could even use, I don't know if they have triple stuff now. They have so many different kinds of Oreos. So actually you could make this with, I think they have peanut butter Oreos now and other types of Oreos. You don't have to use the traditional, but that's what I always used. That's what was the most popular. But also it's going back in time. All right, this looks like it's the exactly right amount here. The crust, like I said, took more, but I'm using a 10-inch pan. I'm not using a 9-inch. And you could go either way with this recipe. But, you know, I made this in big establishments that were for many people. This cake can serve 10 to 12 people. You could even probably serve more people than that. So now, especially if you're having a dessert buffet or, you know, many other desserts, you may, you know, not want to cut as big a pieces of this. But as I said, I'm using a 10-inch pan here. And I really think you're going to love it. Now, I'm going to decorate this cake when it comes out with whipped cream. When it's cool, you're going to want to bake this probably, I'm going to say, for about an hour. And then it needs to refrigerate overnight. And then you can unmold it and decorate it. And you don't have to decorate it if you don't want to. But so into the oven it goes. And we'll decorate it when it comes, we'll decorate it tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day, and now we're going to have this delicious Oreo cheesecake. So the first thing you want to do is unmold the cheesecake by running a sharp, thin knife around the edge, and then you're going to release the springform pan. You should still do this in case the crust sticks to the pan. Even though it's a non-stick pan and I buttered it, you don't want to take any chances. Scorpios, some of you are going to have a new love relationship that's going to be very revealing to you. And it could be revealing things about yourself, actually. There might be some things that you want to keep secret and hide from this new love. And I feel like for some of you that this applies to, he or she is going to be quite different than other people you've been with in the past. So I'm using a tart pan bottom to take this off and move it to this platter. Woo! Yikes! Got to be careful. You don't want that sucker flying all over the floor. You'd be picking Oreo cheesecake up off the floor. Wouldn't that be lovely? Okay. You also might be, Scorpio, driving some people around a lot. Like you might find yourself either having to drive your kids everywhere, or relatives, or your boss. You just have to see how that applies to you. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, now in the restaurants I've worked in, the pastry shops I've worked in, the catering businesses I've worked in, the businesses I've owned, normally, the way I was trained, you make something to look like what represents, or it has some tie to what you're making, what you've made, what you've baked. So we wouldn't put Oreos on the Oreo cheesecake. I wouldn't do that. What you can do is you can get chocolate, the kind you would buy at Michael's, AC Moore, those craft stores, those kind of stores that sell chocolate you can pour into molds and make chocolate molds out of. You melt that chocolate, you put parchment paper down on a sheet tray, you get an offset spatula, not a straight one like this, but an offset spatula. Oh, I don't know where my offset spatula is, but an offset spatula so it drops down at an angle and goes straight. Spread that chocolate out on the pan. As soon as you get it out on the pan, on the parchment paper, and it looks like it's starting to set up, because it'll set up by itself, you don't need to stick it in the fridge, you cut out circles, use a cookie cutter, cut out discs, and then you can whip cream and pipe whipped cream into the discs and sandwich them together to make them look like Oreos. That's what I would do. But at home, are you really going to go through all that? You could, but I'm going to show you how to do it using Oreos. Now, right, you could just use regular Oreos and stick a whole one in each slice, but that's kind of a lot, especially if you're going to pipe on the top. So I'm going to cut the Oreos in half for this recipe. Hopefully not wrecking them. Sagittarius, you've got somebody in your life that's going to be kind of driving you crazy. This could be a love, it could be a family member, but I feel like in 2019 you're going to be like, oh, you're driving me crazy. This feels like a family member or a love partner to you. And you're also going to capitalize on something that you've been building up or starting. This could be stocks, bonds. It could be a business you decided to try or do or have been working on. And I do feel Sagittarians are really going to have monumental success for some of you in the second half of 2019 especially. That looks very successful. Now, they didn't cut very well. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to lie to you, people, so you might want to just use them whole. I did cut one in the beginning before I started, and it was nice and clean. Of course, everyone I cut on the camera was not. So now I'm going to whip the cream, so you don't need to worry that this cheesecake cracked, because a lot of times cheesecakes do crack. Now, you could make a sour cream mixture and put it on the top and stick it back in the oven and bake it for a little bit, and then it would be white on top. But I don't bother with that step. I'm just going to cover mine with whipped cream, so I'm eliminating the sour cream step, which is how I'm showing you what to do. So I'm going to I already had some cream in this bowl, but you probably need about, I'm going to say 2 cups of cream for this cake. And I'm going to use a star tip. I'm sorry, I'm going to add this cream back in here to re-whip it. I'm using a pastry bag with an open hold tip at the end. You could use a star tip. You don't have to use the pastry bag and a tip at all. You could just spread the whipped cream around on the top of it and leave it at that. And I have about a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar I added to this cream. And you want to whip it to stiff. You want the whipped cream to be stiff, but not over whipped. Okay, that's looking like nice stiff peaks. So you want it to look nice and thick and stiff. You don't want it to be too loose. Again, you don't have to put the powdered sugar in it if you don't want to, but I think it's better to do it. It also stabilizes the whipped cream and thickens the whipped cream a bit. So now I'm going to decorate this and look into Aquarius. Aquarius, you may feel like you need some kind of break or vacation or getaway in 2019. And I feel like for some of you, this is going to happen in the months of March or April. And I feel like the reason for this is because it's like there's been too much on your plate, too many responsibilities. I don't know in what area, because it is a general reading, Aquarius, after all. So it could be in family has been too much responsibility, or work, or if you have a business. Aquarius, I hate to tell you this, but you may receive some kind of notification about something to do with taxes. It could even involve an audit, but maybe not, it might not be your audit. It could be somebody else connected to you getting audited, or a business or a company you work for. It doesn't mean you're necessarily getting audited. Pisces, be prepared. You're going to be driving people crazy with all your ideas. You're going to be full of ideas in 2019. And you might want to start selling something, honestly. You could start selling maybe things on eBay or online, or, you know, I don't know, selling your work if you're an artist, or you know, I don't know. But I get Pisces selling things. It could even be if you want to sell your home, or you have, you know, personal items you want to sell. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with this. Sometimes when you mess with something too much, it's too much. So now I'm going to mark off this cake for 12 slices. You don't have to mark it off. Pisces, you also have some kind of lucrative deal that's going to be coming to you through your link or connection to someone else, to someone you know or someone you deal with. You got a lucrative deal. And again, if you're not a working Pisces, you know, I got to say, if you're not, this could be like something to do with an investment, a stock, a bond. It could be something you're going to do on the side. So if you're retired or you're non-working, it doesn't mean that it can't apply to you. Well, c'est la vie, as they say. So now I'm going to use an open hole tip. I think when I used to make this many, many years ago, I believe I used a star tip, but I'm not using a star tip today. I'm using an open hole tip, and this is using a lot of cream. So, you know, be prepared if you're going to try to recreate this. You're probably going to want to buy a quart just to be safe. Not that you'll use the whole quart. So I'm going to use I think I'm going to do a braid. So I'm just making little puffs to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, overlapping them slightly, dragging it down like teardrop shapes. Puff, puff, left, right. You can do this. I haven't done this in 17 years. Since I started working as a psychic, I haven't worked as a pastry chef. I stopped that and did the other. I tried to overlap it for a while, but too much restaurant work and bakery work and pastry work, too demanding. Especially when you're trying to raise little kids. You need to be there. So if you make this for people in your family or you take it to a party, I'm telling you, be prepared because people are going to go crazy over it. If they like Oreos and chocolate, they're going to go crazy over it. And be sure to check out my other pastry videos that I have available on my Vimeo channel, my Pam Georgel Vimeo channel. Oops, no, I don't want that. I don't want that to do that. See, that's why you have to get the air out of the bag before you start piping. Whenever you add whipped cream to a bag, I don't think I marked this off right because I have one slice that looks bigger. Oh well. This is what you call unedited baking. You get to see my calamities, mistakes, and misfortunes. That way you don't have to repeat them. You can learn from my mistakes. All right. So now I'm going to, really you could use whole Oreos. I just thought it would be too much, honestly, to me. Would have looked better, but you know, I'm used to doing it with chocolate. I really don't normally use cookies, but it's a lot to do in a video. So you have to pick and choose what you're going to show and what you're going to eliminate. Okay, so let's see what this Oreo cheesecake tastes like. I know my sons were very excited to know I was going to be making Oreo cheesecake. They couldn't wait. So let's see how this comes out. All right. Oops, lost a little point in there. First piece is always the weirdest. All right, there we go. So now, I get to give it a try. Killer. Killer cake. Wow. The Oreo people in your life that love Oreos are going to love this cheesecake. And maybe even if they don't care so much for the cookie, you can't go wrong with this. It's really, really good. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I hope you enjoyed this video and the psychic predictions as well. And please remember to follow your passions in life. That way, you'll know you're on your true path. Until next time. Thanks for watching The Psychic Pastry Chef. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in getting any of the special videos I've recorded for my Psychic Pastry Chef Vimeo On Demand channel with more recipes and psychic predictions for 2018 for each sign of the zodiac, you can access these videos for purchase by clicking on the link below this video, or you can go to my website, www.thepsychicpastrychef.com, and click on the Videos tab on my menu. If you're interested in scheduling a private psychic reading with me, or purchasing any of the special videos that I record monthly for each sign of the zodiac for my Lucky Mermaid Vimeo On Demand channel, you can access those videos for purchase by clicking on the Videos tab on my menu at www.theluckymermaid.com and go to my order page online scheduling calendar for booking new appointments, which reopens every 4 to 5 months. See you next month.